A few weeks ago, a company called A-Labs reached out to me about demoing their pedal lineup. I'd seen a few other folks, namely Ryan from 60 Cycle Hum, demo this line, but I didn't really know much about it, so I decided to learn. What I learned was that A-Labs has 4 pedals, all with stereo outs, and none of them cost more than $120. In fact, I think most of them are under $100 on Amazon when they're on sale. They might be on sale now. Check the description for affiliate links there, but we've established that these pedals are affordable. Are they good? Let's find out. Welcome to Get Offset. My name is Emily and I appreciate you. Let's dive right into these pedals. We have the Orbital pitch shifter, the Novadrift Modulation, the Timeslip Delay, and the Cetus Reverb. The Novadrift Modulation matches this Player 2 Telecaster from Fender. That's what I'm going to be using in this video. I'm also going to be using the Vincent Chimera plugin from Mixwave as my amp. And I'm also going to be using their reverb, except when I'm demoing the reverb pedal here. We're going to start with the Orbital pitch shifter because it's the only one with a mono N, and I'll talk about the stereo ends in the other parts of this video. Again, A-Labs sent this to me to review, and they have agreed to pay a small fee for this feature. The fee is to appear on the channel, not to buy my opinion. Thoughts are all mine. So the Orbital pitch shifter. The first thing I want to point out is that you can use this toggle to make it momentary or latching. Momentary is up and latching is down. We also have controls for rate and detune, which add a vibrato effect to the pitch change. So you can literally use this as a vibrato if you want. The detune goes to 100 cents sharp and flat, and the rate goes up to 10 Hertz and is not linear, it's logarithmic. By the way, the manuals for these are really great. I don't know the last time or if I've ever seen like math or charts on a pedal in this price range. And there's a lot going on in these pedals, so I really recommend reading those manuals. I can't cover everything in this short video. But I digress. Mix goes 100% wet or dry. So let's go ahead and hear this as a vibrato just to get kind of the energy. So I'm going to turn this knob here to the root setting, but this is my dry signal. That's pretty cool, right? So this knob says tone, but it's actually tone when the switch is latching, that's down, and it's glide when it's set to momentary. And you can set that attack and release separately, which is really cool. And of course, this knob selects the pitch shift. We have octave up and down, and then thirds, fourths, and fifths up and down. So we have octave up. And you can hear that detune effect. I'm going to turn that down, but not off. So one of my favorite features on this pedal is the latching versus momentary. I like the momentary. So right now the toggle is set up. It's going to just keep locked in whatever the tone was set to. So we can adjust the tone here. Even without the mix being all the way up, I thought that was pretty obvious. So I'm going to keep that in the middle and set this to momentary. Since it was already on the momentary, we'll actually turn it off now, which is cool. But if I turn it off there, we can set the toggle to momentary on. And it does chords. And the glide, you can control that speed. You have it pretty much instantaneous, or you can have it really nice and long. And to change the speed on the glide, when it's in momentary, you just press down on the foot switch and adjust it. So you can have it just shut right off. Which is how it is by default. I personally do recommend changing that, but that's just me. So let's go back to latching and just hear these different settings. I mean, it's going to sound like the pitch is shifting. And fourth. Fifths. I'm going backwards. The first one was fifths, that was fourths, and now this is third. This is root. Third down. An octave down. So I do think the tracking is okay. It's definitely not perfect. I didn't see if there was a secondary feature that could adjust the tracking. That actually would be cool, but I am assuming the tracking is kind of what it is. But I wouldn't use this to like replace a bass, but you could use it to add in, which could be kind of cool, but I wouldn't use it on full wet, just like kind of make a bass sound. Unless you have like the mindset and timing of a DJ, because I don't, and I kind of struggle with that lag. And when when it's in momentary, I should say, the turning it off and coming out of that pitch, that's where the glide comes into play. So you saw before I turned off the glide completely for when it goes out of the effect. So it's a little bit backwards in that way. I don't mind it. Just remembering how it is very important. I like that. So my only beef with the Orbital is that I can't choose as many semitones as I want. It feels a little bit limited, but overall I would take the clicking into place and losing a couple pitches versus having just a completely open willy-nilly knob that I have to like tune by ear. But overall, I think this is a pretty features-packed pedal. For the price, it has to be the best pitch shifter on the market. Now the Digitech Ricochet is what I traditionally recommend for pitch, but that's twice as expensive. I think the Ricochet maybe has a few more features, but unless you really want one of those specific features, it's kind of hard to say no to this, especially for the price. The last thing I want to talk about is the routing, or rather the stereo spread. If you're listening with headphones, hopefully it sounds different. If it doesn't sound different, that's an issue with my routing. Obviously it's mono in, so you want to put this at the front of your signal chain. Pitch just works best that way. The outputs are where it gets interesting. If you're using detune and have the rate set to 0, the left and the right outputs aren't going to spit spit out sonically identical signals. The right will go sharp and the left will go flat. So say the right will go up and the left will go down. And if you're hearing it backwards, I'm sorry, I messed up the routing. Hopefully I won't mess it up. So let's go ahead and hear that again. Actually, you've been hearing it, hopefully. So, but now you're going to know what to listen for, I should say, and it's going to be 100%. So. Now, in the spirit of keeping this train moving, we have the Novadrift Modulation, which has 9 algorithms of onboard modulation, 9 types of onboard modulation. For each type, we have rate, depth, mix, tone, which sometimes isn't tone. X is the last one, which you can see there. X and tone share a knob, which you hopefully have noticed. When the toggle is set to up, the tone knob controls X and tone is kind of locked into what it is. That also sets a tap tempo where you hold it down and then you can tap in your tempo, and then after like 5 seconds or so that disengages. In general, I'm not a fan of hold to tap kind of functionality. I know it's a small pedal, second foot switch would be annoying. I would still prefer it, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's hear some of the sounds. So we have an order vibe, chorus, multi-CH, which is a 3-voice chorus, phaser, filter, rotary, flanger, tremolo, and ring mod. I'll add a screenshot, probably like in this general vicinity, that has the X modes, but we'll play through them kind of quickly. So vibe. Get depth. Crank that, turn that up to there again. Now we have the chorus. The multi-chorus. much phaser for that. All right, and now we have filter. So kind of an auto wah. This is the only one where I really... This is one of the ones where tone is not tone. All right, now we'll go ahead and go to rotary. I believe that's what that says. It's kind of hard to read when you're far away from something. I know I'm going through these pretty quickly, but this is going to be a long video if I don't. This is flanger, and sometimes when you think you want a chorus, you really want a flanger. Tremolo. I'm going to go a little bit faster on the... Sick. All right, and then we have ring mod. And this is another one where I remember the switch being down made you able to tune it. Listen, the other day I did a video on a ring mod. I don't really know how they work. I don't really understand them. Someone described it as like an overly aggressive tremolo, and if that was you, that was very funny. Thank you for the laugh. By the way, I'll have affiliate links to this pedal and all the others in the video description. Using an affiliate link doesn't cost you extra money, but it's a great way to support the channel because the vendor then shares a small portion of that sale with me. It's a great way to support this channel doing, you know, let's be honest with ourselves and each other, things we were probably going to do anyway. Now, God, this part's long. Let's talk about the infinity now, because that's down. We've already talked about tap tempo is up. So I'm going to go back to the tremolo here. I'm going to set it so that it is like there. So we're going to hold down. We're going to crank those settings. The flashing is good. We're going to release, go back to blue, go to our bass settings. Cranked so you can really hear it. I love that. I think that all of the pedals other than the pitch have this feature. So again, just a really big fan of this. I love being able to just kind of like slide into a secondary setting like that. I only wish that there was a way to hold those features for longer, maybe a double tap kind of thing. But again, for the price, the functionality you're getting out of this is remarkable. The only thing is, I don't know if you can set the X feature on Infinity, which is kind of a drag. If there is a way, please let me know. But like, to be able to go from just a normal tremolo to a panning, I think would be sick. So tell me, which modulation sound was your favorite? Let me know in the comments. I really like the multi-chorus. I love the tremolo a lot. I'm not a big ring mod person, and I like that you can kind of mellow the phaser a little bit, but the default phaser setting is a little thumpy for my taste. One last thing, you'll see I'm in the left input there, which is what you use when you have a mono input but want both outputs to have the wet signal and the dry signal. If you only plug into R and use both outputs, the left signal will only be the wet signal. That's how all of these pedals from here on out function, if I understand correctly. And let's hear that in action, actually. Let's go to an obvious one. There you go. All right, next up we have the Timeslip Delay. This baby has 9 modes as well: tape, echo, digital, analog, reverse, wrap, granule, octave, sweeper, and swell. It has the same input-output situation I mentioned with regards to modulation. It also has the ability to save a momentary super setting, which is what I'm calling it when the toggle is down. For controls, we have rate, that's the rate of repeats, frequency of repeats, which doesn't quite get into self-oscillation if I remember correctly, at least not on everything. Then you have mix, and you have the dual tone modulation control. Like with modulation, it has a tap tempo setting when the toggle is up. That's also how you change the tone. This is backwards for modulation, but I think it makes sense with regards to a delay pedal. But it is interesting. I don't really feel like either is technically a hidden setting, but since I'm not a big tap tempo person in general, I would probably call the tone the hidden setting on this one. So let's go ahead and run through those sounds real quick. The middle is fine. We have a light modulation going on. Oh man, I love it. Oh God, that sounds so good. I think this is their most popular one, and I can really understand why. Whew, got distracted. Let's get some more repeats on that one so we can hear it a little bit better. I'm also going to turn the mix up. And crank the repeats just so we can hear how it sounds when you do that. I mean, it's definitely infinite, but I wouldn't describe it as self-oscillating. It needs to eat itself to be self-oscillating. That one definitely got there. That got the job done. This is just digital. I don't think it's going to do it. Tape might. That one really was just on the edge. One interesting thing that I'm gonna try to get to before this battery dies is that there are two modes for delay. The first one is what you've been hearing, true stereo mode, where the left and right channels operate independently with two sets of algorithms, each modulated by different LFOs, low frequency oscillators. Next is ping pong mode, where the delay repeats alternate sides. So according to the manual, to switch between the two modes, connect the power supply and ensure the pedal is in bypass mode with no connection to R. I'm gonna do that right now. Bing. So let's go ahead, connect the power supply, and press and hold the foot switch while plugging the cable into R. The yellow LED should flash 3 times. Do we think that was yellow? Oh. 3 times would have, I'm sorry, I'm reading this again. 3 times would have indicated true stereo where we were. Green indicates ping pong mode. That's absolutely working. There's also a long delay mode. At the default 20 to 1100 milliseconds isn't long enough. Long delay doubles the min and max to 40 to 220 milliseconds. Check out the manual for instructions on that. But we still have an entire other pedal to cover. It's the Cetus Reverb. I hope I'm saying that right. Again, 9 algorithms: hall, room, church, spring, plate, swell, shimmer, cloudy, and wave. Those last 2 are sort of, you know, they're more experimental, but they're pretty cool. Again, the toggle switch can save a momentary function when it's down. I, like to go kind of hog wild when I use that setting. Normal delay controls, decay, bright, which is essentially a tone knob for the trails, which is really useful on reverbs, especially things like shimmer that can get kind of ice picky. We have mix and the dual pre-delay / modulation control. With a toggle up, you can adjust the pre-delay, which is great. My first time plugging this in, I really beefed with the pre-delay because, it sure is. It sure is there. So let's go ahead and go to the front. But yeah, one of my big issues was the pre-delay, but I'm really glad that you can change that. I'm no longer using the reverb on the Chimera plugin, so don't come at me. But yeah, let's talk about the toggle again. The up on this one is freeze, which I really like. I only have 2 other pedals that can even do freeze. Yeah, it's really hard to showcase a hold foot switch freeze setting when you're not using your foot and you have to use your hand. But if you could hear the other notes I was playing after the freeze, they didn't have the additional reverb on them. That's pretty normal. But if you want a more continuous freeze, you can just crank the decay. This is this knob. I think you might, that gets you pretty close. What happens if you crank the mix? Yeah, the manual says you can do that. It gets close, but it's not quite a freeze to me unless I'm doing something wrong, which is not out of the realm of possibilities. The only thing I do wish is, how do I say this? I wish I didn't have to keep holding or keep pressing down that foot switch to get that freeze. I would love to be able to just use this as a freeze pedal more fully, but I think I'm really grasping at straws for things to say about the functionality of this pedal, which again, like all the others, for the money is bananas. I'm going to keep modulation around there for the entire video, and I'm going to show you the pre-delay. Get rid of it. Again, this is Hall. So that's, I think I'm going to try to leave the tone there for the most part. But yeah, Hall, just basic, simple. This is the church, or is the room? So smaller. This is church. Very ambient. Next we have spring. I rarely feel like sold on digital spring. I do think it would scratch an itch though. And next we have plate. That's definitely one where we like to tune out some of those higher frequencies. Swell. Next we have shimmer. I'm actually quite nice. I'm not a big shimmer reverb person anymore. Cloudy is, I forget what it says in the manual, but it is definitely like an aspirational is maybe the right word. They want it to be evocative. Reminds me of shimmer, but I think it's just kind of a nicer shimmer, if that makes sense. I don't know how y'all feel about shimmers. Wave was one, I think they said like crank dwell. Feel like I can hear the waves in it, you know? Well, which was your favorite of the A-Labs pedals? Let me know in the comments and check out the video description for affiliate links. If you liked this video, please check out the recommended video on the screen where I demo an affordable amp to go with your affordable pedals. Like, comment, subscribe if you'd like, and stay safe out there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for understanding. Remember to vote in the next election. Until next time, my name is Emily. Goodbye.